Hi y'all, welcome back to Feelin' Froggy Knits. My name is Maya and I suck at knitting socks. Let's change that. I've made a couple of videos on this channel so far in its life about knitting socks, one of them being the first pair of socks I ever made, and then trying color work socks. That was also the first time I had ever done color work before, so TBH was bound to not be very good. And since then, I have knit a couple of other pairs. I am really bad at making socks that actually fit me. When I started knitting and when I started buying yarn, one of the things that really excited me about yarn and about buying yarn was making socks. At that time, I think I was adjusting to the fact that the yarn that I wanted to work with was expensive, and the idea of buying one skein of yarn for a project was very appealing to me. I really love hand-dyed yarns. I love higher quality yarns, higher fiber quality, so knitting with natural fibers like wool and alpaca and silk and such. That just comes with a bigger price tag. Kind of doesn't matter where you get it. I take that back. There is some yarn I'm going to be working with that is a wool sock yarn, and it was not very expensive. Well, that's really just one example that I have of yarn that doesn't really break the bank. Why am I making this video? I want to get better at socks, and maybe you do too. Since those first two videos that I made about knitting socks, I have made a couple of other pairs. Some ribbed pairs, one for my mom because the first pair, the herding cat socks, were for her and they did not fit over her heel. I made a vanilla sock using Super Glow Fiber 2023 Advent yarn, kind of striping that. I made another colorwork pair of socks, which is probably my most worn and best pair of socks that I have made so far. I have realized that I am just point blank not giving enough time to the process when I am making socks. We think about swatching items, garments especially, hats, things that really do have to fit well on our bodies in order for us to even wear them. I do feel like I give a fair amount of effort to garments and to hats, but I don't give it to socks. And I really want to change that. I want to be able to not only make myself beautiful, colorful, simple, elegant socks that I can wear for any occasion, but also to give that gift to people who I love. Gifting a pair of socks to a loved one can be simple. You could make a vanilla sock, or it could be intricate and really envelop who they are and how they want their feet to feel. Let's go into where I think I am going wrong with my sock making. One of them is swatching. Knitting gauge is so important for socks. It is the difference between a sock that fits and you love and wear, and a sock that you do not love and that you do not wear. The next thing that I did that made me come to this realization that I need to take a step back and kind of try again is that I thought, because I had made a couple of sock sets, a couple of pairs of socks, that I knew what I was doing. And that meant that I cast on, I believe, 4 single socks at different times without a pattern and without swatching. Maybe I thought I knew what I was doing. That's exactly what I thought. And I did not. And I ended up frogging every single one except for this one, which I am about to frog. Silly me. With processes that we have that are artistic, it is very easy to just kind of go with the flow and do it without thinking about what you need in order to actually start. And for myself, that comes with the realization and needing to remind myself that knitting is an art, but it is also very much a science. There is a lot of counting and measuring. And what angle do you need this heel to be? What is the circumference of your toe ball or whatever it's called. I think that's gonna be my motto going through this video and through this little series that I'm going to make, is that knitting is an art and a science. I'm going to start fresh and new by doing a bunch of swatching. What I am planning to do for today's video is to knit each yarn that I'm going to be showing you in 3 different sizes. So I have got this yarn, which is Herriot Fine from Juniper Moon. This is a 75% alpaca and 25% polyamide yarn. And I wanted to do an alpaca sock yarn swatch so that in the future, when I do want to use alpaca sock yarn, that I have a gauge swatch. Alpaca behaves differently than wool. It is what it is. Then I wanted to do kind of like an undyed yarn. So I have this Cascade Heritage, and it might have like a little dye in it to take away any kind of like yellow that the wool is. I don't know how to say that, but this is Cascade Yarns Heritage. This is one of those kind of like workhorse sock yarns. Comes in so many different colors, and it's a 75% superwash merino and a 25% nylon. It is just white. I don't know if it has a colorway. It does, it's white. So I want to knit swatches with this, and then I also want to do a yarn that has been dyed. I know with spinning yarn with a drop spindle or a spinning wheel, natural undyed fiber and dyed fiber can behave differently. So I wanted to kind of bring that into this little fun swatching game that I'm gonna be playing. Oh, this is 100% superwash merino. Maybe not then. I will just knit a swatch with this yarn that I have left over. Look how much is left over from this pair. I mean, this is a sizable pair of socks, I feel like, and there's still a lot left over. This is a 75% superwash, 25% nylon. I got my 3 yarns that I'm going to be swatching. These are kind of cute together. Now I want to talk about the needle sizes that I will be swatching them in. Most sock patterns that you will see with sock weight yarn will use a 2.25 millimeter or a US size 1, a 2.5 millimeter needle or a US size 1.5, and lastly a 2.75 millimeter needle or a US 2. I have a tendency when I am swatching things for projects that are in the round to swatch them flat, which doesn't work. What I've decided to do is use the needles that I am going to be using for most of the socks that I'm going to be making, which are double pointed needles. I've not tried magic loop. I do have a small circular set of sock needles, which I will be using for color work. I watched a video recently of Summer Lee saying that she does magic loop and then switches to small circular for color work, and I think that just makes sense for me as well. I really don't know the science behind it, but I know that that's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna cast on like I would be casting a sock on, and that is going to take more time, period, to knit these swatches. But I want the best outcome that I can from spending the time making with these swatches. It is not going to be a problem for me to spend that time because I know when I do it now, in the future, I'm not gonna have to do it. I am going to get my double points out, and I am going to start on the first sock swatch. I'm going to start with 2.25. Y'all, these things are sharp. They're sharp little buddies, and I love it. If this video seems like it's something that you would enjoy, you can subscribe to my channel. This is part 1. I'm going to be doing 2 more parts in this series. I hope that you stick around and join me. Maybe learn some things, maybe laugh at some things. It's what I'm here for. Let's go. Wednesday, but there was a lot accomplished yesterday. I got each swatch that I wanted to get done with the 2.25 millimeter needles, and I'm eventually going to label all of them with the yarn, the unblocked gauge, the blocked gauge, and have the label of the what needle size I use, which I just did some masking tape and put it around these for now until I get them blocked, because I'm not gonna put paper on them until after they are blocked. Doesn't that make sense? Yay. Also, you will have seen last night I just decided to swatch with the yarn that I'm going to use to make my first pair of socks in this series. I don't know really how to describe it. It's been a little strange so far. So I did just like with these, I swatched with 2.25 millimeter needles. For these swatches, I did a garter stitch on either side and then stockinette so that it won't roll. I mean, it is rolling, but I'm thinking after blocking it won't. For this one, I did not do any kind of, stockinette. I did ribbing at the top, and then I just did that. And here's the thing, the yarn, it stopped. I was doing the bind off, and then I noticed that it was not attached to the yarn. I think I'll just see what happens when it happens. It is an 80% wool, 20% nylon. I really do like this stitch definition. It's nice and tight, and I think that is what I want my socks to look like when I'm wearing them. Last night I made the decision that in this video I am going to knit a basic sock so that it's not just all swatch knitting. But first I think I'm gonna just knit some more swatches. Did this little number, which really takes me back to my insect classes in college, where we had to pin the bugs down that we caught. But I've got my little foam boards labeled, so I've got my 2.5 millimeter and my 2.25 millimeter swatches here so that I know which is which. I did not remember to measure them pre-blocking, but only post-blocking matters, right? Math. Women in STEM, we love it. Initially, I wanted to create sock swatches for needle sizes 2.25, 2.5, and 2.75 millimeter needles, but after blocking, which I'm kind of glad that I blocked these before I went on to the next size. After I did that, I was like, you know what? I actually want to, instead of doing 2.75 millimeter needles, I decided on doing a 2 millimeter needle, so going a size down. I am currently on my last little swatch. It's so funny, when I did the little intro for this video, I was like, oh, I'll have the white and then the alpaca green yarn and then the pink one for fun. But this one has been the most fun because of how it feels when it knits up. It is insanely soft. I can't believe it's just merino and nylon. Like, the pink one is merino and nylon, but it feels way different. This is just like buttery, soft, smooth, delectable, delicious, wonderful, fantastic. And that's how I feel about the Cascade Heritage yarn. Where do we go from here? What's gonna happen? Next steps include finishing this swatch. When I am done with this swatch, I will block all of these together. Not together. I will block all of these separately together. Y'all catch my drift? Then I'm going to take my measurements for each of these swatches that I have. I'm gonna write them down, and then I'm going to create little labels for them. I say labels kind of loosely, just cutting up pieces of paper and taking a hole punch and punching a hole and tying them to the sock swatches. I might, depending on what the swatches tell me, cast on my first good sock. My first sock after going through all of this effort. I was thinking about it and how many like rows and stitches, how many stitches I have knit. I'm like, this is a sock, at least one, if not, you know, one and a little bit of another. So I'm like, dang, I could have had a whole sock. But this is not what this video is about. It is about continuing to not suck at knitting socks. And I think I'm getting there. Still, with trial and error. Still. I'm learning, I'm growing. I'm gonna finish knitting the swatch. I'm gonna start the blocking process, and then I'm gonna start making dinner because I'm hungry already. And tonight for dinner, do y'all ever buy cabbage for like one meal? My husband and I bought some cabbage for a little slaw for some tacos that we made, and then there's like 3/4 of a cabbage left, and you try to find the smallest cabbage, but there's so much cabbage. So one of our favorite ways to use up cabbage is to make this Japanese style pancake. Please forgive me if this is wrong. I'll put it on the screen of what is actually called if I mess it up so bad. I'm pretty sure it's okonomiyaki, and it's a cabbage pancake, Japanese style cabbage pancake. And that's kind of a theme with mine and my husband's cooking, is it's like we have a base, but it's really about the sauces. However, that thing. Kiwi mayo, probably some sriracha, and then I think I'm going to make some like panko crusted tofu to put on top of it, possibly an egg in there. Let's finish this. Let's finish what we started. No golden hour knitting for me today. It's been a busy afternoon / evening, both in my life and also in knitting. Look at all that. I don't know what is going on here. My sock is getting an hourglass shape, ? Last night I was just casting this on. Something a little strange happened. I really don't know what it is with this yarn. There's such a nice gradual color change down here, but then if you look at the top, it is just like color blocked almost. So I have decided that I am going to, when I'm done with the sock, I'm going to unravel this to the pink and then knit and ribbing from here up so that it's just all ribbing and looks very intentional. But I'm very much enjoying this color fade, and I really like where the heel is ending up. It kind of looks like I changed colors when in reality I did not. It's like a dark heel, which is good because it'll probably be on the floor and in shoes, so it could get dirty. Sorry y'all, my husband gave the cats catnip, so they are I don't know if you could hear that, but they're running through the house. Definitely finished the heel flap, and probably start on the gusset. Ooh, that looks like kind of metal, honestly. Nice sharp needles pointing out. These are sharp. They poke through my project bag. They're like, let me out. I want you to be knitting on me. Since about Tuesday since I last filmed. It is now Saturday. I had a really busy week and I finished my first sock. I'll tell y'all a bit about it right now. So originally when I cast this on, probably started about there with the ribbing, but I didn't like the way that it kind of cut off. There was no fade. So what I decided to do was a little bit of surgery, and I initially tried to unravel from the bottom or from the cast on edge, which I don't know if I did something wrong, but I feel like you can't do that. Maybe I should have looked it up, but I just kind of wung it. So what I ended up doing was coming down to where those two yarns joined together, and I picked the stitches out, put them on the needles, and then unraveled from here up, and then I just knit the ribbing again from here up. And I did a 3x1 rib. I think it's pretty visible. And then I did a super stretchy cast off. So when I do have these on, it rolls a little bit, the edge does, but I don't know. I'm not too bent out of shape about it. So here's the heel. I did just a heel flap and gusset. Maybe you can see it. There we go. It's gonna focus. And I did this part a bit longer than what the pattern suggests. I just kept going and wasn't counting my stitches, but I actually really like the fit, and that's what you're supposed to do if the ankle portion doesn't fit perfectly with the amount of gusset stitches, or not gusset, but heel flap stitches that you do, is you're just supposed to continue this a bit longer than you would. And also this is not blocked, so I just want to say that these little like fun wrinkly stuff, it should come out with blocking. That is the first sock. It's kind of funky, but I really love all these colors. The brown with a little bit of like greenish color in there, and then fading into pink. And I've actually started the second sock, so I don't really know what kind of cast on I could do to mimic that same like super stretchy bind off. So what I ended up doing was a provisional cast on with this yarn that I've been using to swatch, and then I just started knitting down from there. So when I'm eventually done with the sock, I will just pick these stitches up and knit the cuff so that it'll be the same. I'm hoping to come up with a different solution to this in the future, maybe casting on with a larger needle size, but I find that it's really tight because if they are trying to go up to my calf, I have big calves. Not to brag. I only have a couple more rounds. I put this little stitch marker with a piece of washi tape that says 60 so that I know this is 60 stitches, and then I just need 20 more because I did 80 rows for the leg. So I'm almost to the heel. Once you get the heel done, it really is just kind of a breeze. And I finally did slip knit that decreasing correctly for the first time on the toe of the sock, and it looks, I don't know which side that is, but it looks so much better than any ones I've ever done before. I don't know, it just doesn't look good, but this looks good, I think. Hopefully this weekend I will get this done and then wash block, and I'll have a new pair of wonderful wool socks. wearing my first finished garment of the year. This is the Tulsa Tee by Creabea, Rebecca Clow of the Creabea. It's using hedgehog fibers, tweedy yarn, and this is a little scrap that I can't remember what it is, but it is here and it is cute, and I love this shirt. Bit itchy, I'm just gonna say, but I love me a good long sleeve under a short sleeve, so that's probably how I will mostly be wearing it, because my, not to get too graphic, but my nipples are itching right now. I'm sorry. Oops. That is gonna do it for today's video. There was a lot accomplished, and I think right now, and I could not say this at the beginning of the video, that I suck less at knitting socks. The trial and error will continue though. I can always promise there's going to be error. I really need to like read patterns better. I know they say you're supposed to read through it all the way before you start, but I need to do that. Over here, I've got, pardon the noise if it's making any kind of noise, but my swatches, and I've got them all labeled. So at the top, I have the needle that I used, the yarn, the stitch, and the row gauge. Now, I'm using the row off of this little tiny thing, so not really gonna use it so much, I don't think, just because it is not the most accurate. But with most of these swatches, I was able to get 4 inches, 4 complete inches, and measure the whole thing, so I wasn't taking the amount of stitches from a tiny 1 inch space, but was able to do it over 4. I don't know how I'm gonna store these yet, but I know that it is going to be so useful to have these around. I'd actually had this sock to be completed in part 2 of my I Suck at Knitting Socks series, but I was like, I gotta just do it. I did swatch for these separately than my like sample swatches, but I just kind of decided to swatch these and to go for it. These socks fit like such a dream. I kind of can't believe it. This is using Queensland collection Perth yarn. I'm forgetting the colorway, but I will have it in the description down below. It's this lovely fade. It's an 80% wool, 20% nylon blend. And you know, the socks don't completely match, but I feel like the foot of both of these socks kind of have the same vibe. I don't know if we can call the foot of socks a vibe, but I think this is it. Also, I've worn these. I've wash blocked and have worn them, so pardon any kind of dirt or cat hair. I'm so excited because that means that I can make more socks and they won't, you know, I won't have that little Goldilocks thing going on. I used the Sock Project book by Summer Lee to do that pair of socks. Let's see, it is the Basic Sock No.1, the heel flap and gusset. So she has different basic sock patterns in this book, all using different heels, but I just did the Basic Sock No.1. She also has a free pattern out on Ravelry, and maybe if she has a website. I'm actually unsure if she has a website. She probably does. But there's a free pattern, and it's what I used to knit my first ever pair of socks, though they did not turn out like these, aka perfectly fitting. It just goes to show that that was user error. So yeah, got a lot done in this video, and there's going to be so much more to come. A little sneak peek for the next part in this series is I'm going to go like full on experiment mode. Now, when I say that, I don't mean that I'm not going to swatch and I'm not going to go off the pattern. I mean that I'm going to try a bunch of different styles of socks. In my next video, I'm going to be making one of my Make 9 patterns. Along with that DK pair of socks, I'm going to be making a cabled pair of socks or a faux cable if that's what I'm feeling. A pair of lace socks or socks that incorporate lace patterns. And I am going, oh, I'm so excited for this one. I will be making a redemption pair of the Herding Cat socks by Stone Knits or Charlotte Stone. That first pair, whenever I think about it, it really bums me out. I'm really sad that I made that and spent all that time. My mom can't even wear them. So first of all, I owe her a pair of herding cat socks that fit. Also, people in my family, we all love cats and we all have cats. So I was thinking of doing the little cats of like the colors of my family members' cats that they have. And of course, I need some Willow and Ivy herding cat socks. Can you imagine? It's going to be so cute. So very much fiber fun to come. I've got a lot of sock yarn. I've got a lot of minis that are left over from an advent, and I'm so excited to dive in and go color crazy and sock crazy. If you would like to join me on my I Suck at Knitting Socks Let's Change That little series, subscribe to my channel. I'm here. Here I am. And like this video if you liked it. Leave a comment down below of your favorite sock yarn or sock pattern or both. I'm assuming that the people who are tuning into this either need a good laugh and you are an experienced sock knitter, or you're just getting started. And so to have that kind of community down in the comments would just be lovely for myself and for others who are looking to broaden their horizons in the sock knitting world. I love you all, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!